Hello and welcome to PreVuelo channel. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications if you like what you see. I'm Carlos Andrade, an airplane pilot with licenses in the United States and in Ecuador. And today I'm going to share with you a flight from the old Quito airport to the new Quito airport. A very interesting flight because you're going to see how the city evolved in the last years. Since 2013, in which the city moved the airport from within the boundaries of the hypercenter to 35 kilometers away from the city center. We're going to depart from the old airport from a runway in which you can see the hypercenter, how populated it is with buildings and iconic landmarks. And we're going to approach to the new airport, which is 35 miles away. This is going to be an instrument flight, which we're going to perform in the Diamond 62, which you can see in your screen. This is a beautiful multi-engine, cutting-edge technology, aerodynamic efficiency, and it's also equipped with the top-of-the-line as industry standard in general aviation, the world-famous G1000. As you can see, the G1000 is a very sophisticated instrument flight system in which the old gauges have been replaced by liquid crystal displays, but it gives us the same information. We have an airspeed indicator, an attitude indicator, an altimeter and a vertical speed indicator, an HSI, horizontal situation indicator or heading indicator, and a turn coordinator as a rate meter, a magenta line on top of the HSI and below the white triangle of the attitude indicator. We also have other information, rate at which the airspeed is increasing or decreasing, and so on and so forth. Let's start by listening to the weather, which will give us an insight of which runway to use, which procedures for departure and for approach to use.
Sierra Echo, Quebec, Uniform, Airport Information, Romeo 0517, Zulu, Weather, Wind, Calm, Visibility 10, Sky Condition, Ceiling 200, Broken, Temperature 102.10, QNH 1026, Advise on initial contact, you have information, Romeo, Sierra Echo, Quebec, Uniform, Airport Information.
Very well, we got Romeo, and it's time to set the altimeter with the barometric pressure. The thing is that in many countries they use hectopascals for the barometric pressure, and in many others inches of mercury. This altimeter requires inches of mercury. As you can see, the big IN close to these blue numbers, 30.34, has nothing to do with 1026. We're going to have to convert. Actually, there is something to do between these two numbers. In a standard atmosphere at 15 degrees Celsius at sea level, the barometric pressure is 1 atmosphere. 1 atmosphere equals 1013 hectopascals, and it also equals 2 inches of mercury in Torricelli's barometer, of course. For each centesimal that we deviate from standard in hectopascals, we deviate 3 centesimals in inches of mercury. The relationship is 3 to 1. So if our current setting is 1026, the difference is 13 centesimals times 3 equals 39 centesimals. We have to add 39 to 9 or 2 centesimals. So instead of 29, we're going to have 30.31 inches of mercury. So let's load that into our altimeter. 3031, and we have an indication of 9,240 feet. Quite high. Let's see if it matches our published chart of the old Quito airport. Here it is, the airport diagram of the old field. It was published in January 2008. And yes, 9,228 feet. A difference of less than 75 feet is acceptable in aviation. So our altimeter is correctly set. The wind is calm, so we get to choose the runway. And as I said, I would like to take off from runway 17 towards the south because the hypercenter is to the south of the field. In order to get to runway 17, we're going to have to taxi from here, where general aviation ramp is. But before that, let's look at the departure procedure, which we're going to use to get to Condorcocha. Why do we want to get to Condorcocha? Because that's where the approach to the new airport begins. Condorcocha is a very important VOR in this area. Let's look at an approach that will be also helpful and aligned to a runway 17 takeoff. We could land on runway 18 using the ILS Yankee 18, which starts in Condorcocha. So more on this approach during the flight. So back to our departure procedure. Over here, Condorcocha, runway 17, standard instrument departure 5 alpha. For this procedure, we need a climb performance of 270 feet per nautical mile. Again, the units need to be converted because our vertical speed indicator on the right side of our altimeter band, the vertical speed indicator is given in feet per minute, not feet per nautical mile. So let's convert that. In order to convert that, we're going to use factors. First of all, our speed. It depends on the speed at which our airplane moves over the ground speed. Note that it's different from the speed on the left side of our screen, because that is an airspeed indication. The ground speed is given by the GPS over here. Ground speed at the moment is 0 knots. So ground speed in knots, we know that 1 knot equals 1 nautical mile per hour. For example, if we're traveling at a ground speed of 120 knots, that's 120 nautical miles per hour, to transform it to nautical miles per minute, we know that 1 hour has 60 minutes. So 120 divided by 60 equals 2 nautical miles per minute. Now, this procedure requires (270 feet per nautical mile). Times 270 feet per nautical mile. Nautical miles are gone, and we are left with 2 times 270, that's 540 feet per minute. Feet per minute. So that's the indication, the climb indication, that we're going to look for in our vertical speed indicator over here. Number 1 represents 1000, number 2 represents 2000, minus 1000, so this is a descent rate, minus 2000 feet per minute. So at least 140 is over here. So we said we need at least 540 feet per minute at 120 knots of ground speed. Sorry, not kilograms, knots. Remember that 1 knot equals 1 nautical mile per minute. 60 nautical miles. Sorry, 1 knot equals 1 nautical mile per hour. Now, at different speeds, at 100 speeds, at 100 knots, you need to climb at 450. At 150 knots, 675 knots in ground speed per nautical mile. Very well. So, as long as we can comply with this requirement, we'll be okay. We're going to take off from runway 17, heading south 170. There are 6 miles from the runway to QMS. QMS is Monja Sur VOR 114.8, which I'm going to set on nav 2. Nav 2 on my HSI is the green double arrow. 114.8. And I'm going to listen to the Morse code. Bars and dots and dashes. There it is. It's active. We can rely on that. Now, I'm not going to go direct to Monjas following the green arrow. I'm going to go following the bearing arrow, which is a blue double arrow, which points direct in a straight line from where I am to where I want to be. So I'm going to depart runway 17, heading south. As you can see here, close to the S is the pointer of my double blue arrow. Why not the green arrow? Because I'm going to use the green arrow to select the radial 065. 065. These knobs are concentric. The outer knob controls the barometric setting of the altimeter. That's why the altimeter was moving, you see? And the inner knob controls the course, in this case, that I'm setting for nav 2. 065. Why is it important to keep track of that course? Well, because once I start turning, once I hit the station, I need to turn left. And I need to intercept my inbound course 315 direct to Condorcocha before I cross the radial 065. I have to remain south of 065. I cannot cross the radial 065 before I intercept. I need to intercept first and then cross the radial 065. Now I'm going to tune the inbound 315 on my simple needle. Again the barrow. I have to be careful with that. 3031. There it is. Altimeter set. 310 on Condorcocha. Condorcocha's frequency is 115.3. Let's set it on main nav 1. It's already been set. So let's just listen to the Morse code. Does it match? Let's listen again. You have to make sure about that. Very well, it matches. So that's how this procedure is flown horizontally. Let's look at it vertically. We're going to depart from a runway elevation of 9,200 feet. 9,200 feet. And we have 6 miles to climb to an altitude of 10,500. In aviation, you say these numbers as 10,500, especially when you speak on the radio. At or above 10,500, we cross Monja Sur and we turn left heading 065, because we don't want to cross this radial inbound. So 065 or lower or more southbound, as to intercept Condorcocha 315 at or above 2,700 feet. So 10,500 in Monja Sur. "12 miles from Condorcocha, sorry, it's a Y, it's an I, not a U. Condorcocha is Quito. QIT. 12 miles from QIT, I already need 12,700. And finally, in Condorcocha, I need to be at or above 4,500. Very well. One more thing, if we lost navigation at any point during this procedure, we need to keep in mind that within 25 nautical miles from Monja Sur to the northeast, the minimum safe altitude is 16,000 feet. To the southeast, the minimum safe altitude is 12,500. To the southwest, the minimum safe altitude is 20,500. And to the northwest, the minimum safe altitude is 18,500. All these are sectors. That's why the acronym MSA is very often confused with minimum sector altitude, but that's not the case. These are sectors in which the minimum safe altitude, don't forget, minimum safe altitude is given in feet for each sector. Okay, I think we're ready to taxi now. We have checked the flight controls, but we have not checked the flight instruments. So our airspeed reached 0. The attitude indicator has the horizon aligned with the yellow chevron representing our airplane. During taxiing, we have to check that this horizon tilts less than 5 degrees. If it tilts more, the horizon is inoperative and we cannot fly with it, especially not in IMC, in instrument meteorological conditions. The altimeter reads within 75 feet of the field elevation on current altimeter setting, which is accurate enough. The vertical speed indicator reads 0. The HSI, horizontal situation or heading indicator, is aligned with the magnetic compass, which we have over there. You also have it over here, the magnetic compass. During taxiing, we will check that the magnetic compass shows known headings, moves freely with enough liquid, and that the HSI follows along 240, 240, more or less, 230. Finally, there's a magenta line on top of the HSI when we steer. That magenta line should grow further to the right as we turn to the right, or further to the left as we turn to the left. It should follow our turns during taxiing. And the white base of the triangle of the attitude indicator also skids to the opposite side of our turns. That's the turn coordinator, those two parts, the magenta line and the white base. Very well. So let's look at those instruments during taxiing. But first, if we're going to move this airplane, we need to test the brakes. So brake test. Feet on the rudder, pedals. We're going to give it some gas, like this. The gas, the throttles are on your left, well, on my left, on your right hand. Cut the gas, apply the brakes. My brakes were correct. Let's see yours, your flight controls. Your flight controls. 3-step positive exchange process. Give it some gas, slowly. Slowly, you don't want to accelerate too much. You're testing your brakes, remember? Cut off the gas first, and then you step on the brakes. Correct, my flight controls, my flight controls. Now, the first turn of the day. So look at the instruments, especially the turn coordinator, which is the magenta line on top of the HSI and the white line below the white triangle, especially the artificial horizon or attitude indicator tilting less than 5 degrees, and especially the HSI following the compass headings. Clearing right. It's moving. Apply the brakes and the cameras as well. So that's how we clear right. Like this. Clearing right. Rolling right. So left is clear. Look at that. The HSI starts rolling. The magenta line on top of the HSI is growing to the right as our turn grows. And the base of the white triangle skids to the opposite side, to the left. Okay. Before you taxi, you also need to know where the wind is coming from, because if you don't have a calm wind as we have today, you need to correct with your ailerons. If the wind is coming from the front, ailerons into the wind. If the wind is coming from the back of the plane, ailerons oriented away from the plane, with your stick or with your yoke. Okay. While taxiing, we're going to want to keep the yellow line on the center of, with our nose wheel on top of the line. Also, we want to know where we're going. So back to our airport diagram. As I said, we are parked here in general aviation ramp. Well, not such thing here in Quito. It's the Ecuador ramp. From here, we're going to taxi via Alpha to runway 17. We're gonna cross taxiways Echo, Golf, Foxtrot, I think. So let's get going. We also don't want a ground speed higher than 17 knots. So how much have we got there? We got 9 knots at the moment. We want to clear. Alpha is clear to the right and alpha is clear to the left. Let's hurry up. We don't want to get to the new airport after dusk. We keep the center line at a speed of 10 knots. That's fair enough. Look at the sign at the right side of your screen. That red sign with white numbers indicates that we're headed on the right direction. If we continue as we are going, we will reach runway 17 threshold. Let's keep that yellow line right below our nose wheel. Taxiway Echo is cleared to the right. It's cleared to the left. We're crossing Echo. Taxiway Golf is cleared to the left. Taxiway Foxtrot is cleared to the right and to the left. We're approaching runway 17 threshold. We're trying to keep the yellow line just below our nose wheel as we taxi at no more than 17 knots, 17 knots. So we're headed north and we will take off heading south. Golf, taxiway Golf is in front of us and it's cleared to the right. So we're crossing runway Golf. We have crossed runway Golf. Luckily for us, the wind's calm, which reduces the workload of correcting with the ailerons. The directional control is not exercised with the stick or the yoke. The directional control is exercised with the pedals, with the rudder pedals. And we have reached runway 17 threshold. We're approaching the most important of all airport signs and markings, never to be crossed without clearance. The double solid and double dashed lines. They separate the most sensitive part of the airport from everything else, the runway. Very well, so first of all, we would have to be speaking to tower 118.1, which is set on main nav 1, but not on green. Let me swap. We were talking on, sorry, on com 1. We're talking on com 2. Now we're talking on com 1, 118.1. And also, sorry, let me change the cameras like that. 118.1 on main com 1, and also on standby com 1, 119.7. That's Quito approach. Over here, Quito approach. One 119.7. Okay. Before that, our initial heading is going to be 170. Actually 171. Our initial altitude is going to be 10,500, set on top of the altimeter band. We're not using GPS. We want to know the distance from Condorcocha, so that's bearing 1, QIT, Quebec India Tango. And also on bearing 2 we have the distance from Monjas, Quebec Mike Sierra. Everything shall be fine. We're going to turn on the landing lights, the fuel pumps, auxiliary electric fuel pumps. We have the flaps set on approach flaps, that's 10 degrees for higher lift until we clear an obstacle of 300 feet. We're going to take off from runway 17 at Quito Old Airport. Runway length is 10,236 feet long. In meters, that's 3,120 meters. We're going to accelerate to a computed VR of 77 knots, and we're going to climb at VX, that's best angle of climb, 81 knots until we reach an altitude of 300 feet above the field, that's 9,500 feet. After that, we're going to climb at 91 knots and 90 knots, VY 94 knots, VY single engine, which is the safest speed at which we can climb in case an engine failed. We could climb in case an engine failed. Finally, above 10,500, we're going to climb, we're going to increase our airspeed at 110 knots. Above 10,500. In case we lost an engine, with enough runway to stop ahead of us, we cut the throttle and land straight ahead. If we needed to avoid obstacles, we cut off the mixture, the master switch, the magnetos, and the fuel selectors, and brake as required. Now, if the engine failed above 94 knots blue line, we would decide to continue and treat this as an in-flight failure. Immediately, mixture props throttles forward, clean up the plane flaps up, gear up, check the fuel pumps on, identify the dead foot, verify by closing the throttle, feather the prop and cut off the mixture. Keep climbing at 94 knots and maintaining 170 on our heading indicator. Declare emergency and come back to land. Very well. It's time to call the tower. 118.1. Quito Tower, Diamond 424 Alpha Mike, runway 17, ready for departure. They said something which cleared us to takeoff, but we have to respond. Runway 17 cleared for takeoff, runway Diamond 424 Alpha Mike. Okay, so what are we waiting for? Let's head on to the runway. Finals clear, the runway is cleared to the right. Now before we hit the throttles for takeoff, sorry for that somewhat bumpy line up and wait, we need to set the landing lights on. The fuel pumps on. Mixtures reach. Transponder on alt. We haven't been assigned a code today, so let's just leave it on alt. I'm also going to set the camera for you to enjoy the view of the city hypercenter. As we take off, as well as as you continue to have the instruments indications and the position on the top right side of the screen. Let's load the position. There it is. Now you see where we are on the map. Power to 2000. Engine gauges, which are these, are on the green. Power, full power. Gauges continue to be green. Brakes release. Maintain the center line. The directional control. Computed VR. .77 knots rotate. Positive rate, no more usable runway remaining. Gear up. Beautiful. Keep climbing at 80 knots, VY single engine. Like this. Better. Maintain 170 runway heading. Oh, it was 60, not 80 knots. That explains it. Positive rate. 94 knots blue line and climbing. Flaps up. Max continuous power. If this was a Piper Seminole, you would call 24, 25. for max continuous. And look at our altitude, 10,500. So we can lower our nose to 110 knots. As we continue to climb at or above 500 feet a minute. So you can see the epicenter below us, all those buildings, iconic landmarks. Can you see the two towers of the Catholic University Quito on the bottom right side of your screen? Greetings to my friends from Catholic University. As we continue straight forward to Monjas VOR with our blue needles centered straight ahead. Continue to climb and keep our speed at 110 knots. We were supposed to cross Monjas at least at 10,500, but now we are at 1,500. This. We are very close to Monjas. Half a mile from there. We have just crossed Monjas, so we are turning left. Our next altitude is 12,700. Our turn is going to be shallow here. Our bank is going to be shallow because we don't want to cross radial 065 from Monjas. Remember, we want to intercept the inbound course 315 to Condorcocha before we cross 065 radial from Monjas. So we're setting up our second altitude, which is 12,700. Just like that. So our current heading is going to help us. It's going to take us to intercept the direct course 310 to Condorcocha before we cross radial 165. By the way, we're close to the target altitude of 12,700, at which we must intercept the 315 bearing to Condorcocha. So let's keep climbing at 110 knots because we want to hit Condorcocha at 18,000 feet as to start the approach. So single needle is tuned to Condorcocha. Inbound 315. Double needle keeps us away from radial 065 from Monjas. Right, we're following Condorcocha, climbing. It's time to brief the approach with which we're going to land at the new Quito airport. We're turning left, heading 065. 055. That's okay, we're not crossing the radial. We're far enough. Show me the main menu. Show me the approach. The approach. There. 110 knots. 750 feet per minute climb. And the needle is alive. We're intercepting 315 direct to Condorcocha as we continue to climb and to hold our 110 knots. Standard rate turn means 180 degrees per minute, 30 degrees in 10 seconds, or 3 degrees in 10 seconds. Sorry, 30 degrees in 10 seconds, or 10 degrees in 3 seconds. Let's get the wind information. We want to keep the needle completely centered, so we're going to re-intercept. And as we approach to Condorcocha, I'm going to slow down since I want to make the most of my time and brief the approach. Frequencies. First of all, the weather. 118.9er on main com 2. Let's switch to com 2, put those numbers in green.
Sierra Echo Quebec, Mike, airport information, Bravo 0602, Zulu, weather, wind, calm, visibility 10, sky condition, ceiling 200, broken temperature 2.10, QNH 1. Sierra Echo Quebec, Mike,
very well, we got it.
Charlie 06.
Now the ground frequency is the same as in the old airport, 1 to 1.9ers set on main com 2. Approach, we should be talking to approach 119.7 on main com 1. And tower 118.1 set on main on standby com 1. Navigation frequencies, we want Condorcocha on main, nav 1 115.3. Let's listen to the Morse code. There it is. Also, very well, on nav 2 we need Quito Norte 117.4. Let's listen to the Morse code. To Quito Norte, this one over here. Also, we need the localizer 111.1 on standby nav 2, and let's listen to that Morse code. 111.1, and we're listening to this Morse code over here. 6 miles from Condorcocha. I'm sorry. Now we're gonna listen. We are in Condorcocha. Alright, so since we're not ready, Quito approach, 424 Alpha Mike, 16,900 feet over Condorcocha, getting established in the inbound course, inbound getting established in the outbound course of the published holding procedure to continue climbing and finish up briefing the approach to Quito. Request to expect ILS Yankee 18. Roger, will advise when ready. Maintain 18000 on the hold. November 424 Alpha Mike. Very well. Turn time. Clock ready. Twist. The inbound course of this holding procedure is 001. Like that. And also, come on, keep turning. I got a little loss of situational awareness. My needle showed me that I crossed, but what I crossed had to do with the signal from the localizer, which I turned in instead of Condorcocha just to listen to the Morse code. My bad, so I'm just going to continue flying to Condorcocha using the direct single blue needle, the bearing, to block the station. So the frequencies are set. For the missed approach, we're going to need 116.8 on standby nav 2. That's the Morse code we're going to listen to next. Both Morse codes were active. There it is. Okay, let's shut down all the Morse codes. Frequencies check. Let's look at the horizontal profile. We're going to depart Condorcocha on heading 001, which is already set. 8 miles out from Condorcocha, start at 10 DME arc. Keep climbing. You want to hold, you want to stay at 18,000 feet. We're going to practice a holding pattern. Just one lap around this oval. We're going to make a direct entry. We're going to stay at 18,000 feet. So we're going to set the altimeter. Just like that. We're 1 mile from Condorcocha, so okay, we're going to depart at 18,000 Condorcocha. Those 8 miles. At the end of those 8 miles, we just crossed Condorcocha, turning left. At the end of those 8 miles, we should be as low as 1,000. That's 11,500 feet. Okay, keep turning. So we're doing this right now. We're entering the hold. The needle's already twisted. Turn time, the clock is ready. Twist. Throttle for 110 knots, 18,000 feet, and tuck. Quito approach. November 424 Alpha Mike is now getting established on the outbound course for the published holding procedure at 18,000 feet over Condorcocha. Okay, let's open up a bit from the hold because we have a crosswind, a direct crosswind. And the chevron inside of the inner circle on the HSI is going to swap from to 2 just now, you see? So now is the time for us to start counting 1 minute outbound. As we stabilize the plane, not only the throttle but the trim. Turn, time, twist to the inbound course, which is 001. It's already set right there. Throttle is maintaining 110 knots, but it's climbing. So let's see if we can stabilize the plane for hands-free flying. 10 more seconds and we will turn inbound. Clearing right, rolling right. Intercepting the inbound course. Needle is alive. Sorry about that, our Wi-Fi connection is failing just a bit. Nothing to worry about. We follow the inbound course with the needle on the center. Just like that. So we maintain 18,000 feet. So as I was saying, after we hit Condorcocha, we're going to start descent to 1,500, which I'm going to set. By the way, I'm hand flying. I don't let the autopilot do this for me. I'm not letting. Okay, I just crossed Condorcocha, starting my descent to 1,500, which I'm gonna maintain during the 10 DME arc. I will intercept radial inbound course 147 to Quito Norte. So that's the course to be set with the double needle 147. Just like that. Back to my single needle. I want to keep it centered as I move away from Condorcocha. I have 8 more miles to descend, almost 6,000 feet. So 550 knots a minute is not going to do it for me. I'm going to lower my gear down before landing checklist. Gear down, 3 green, no red, what's on the mirror. Just now, as you can see, 3 green, no red, one's on the mirror. Now I'm descending at a rate that will allow me to be at 1,500, 8 miles out from Condorcocha. Also, since my speed is much lower than an airliner's, I will not start my turn at 8 miles. I will do it at 9 miles. 9 DME, that's the D before the 9. So I'm 6 miles out, 147. 6 miles out, 147 from Quito Norte. I shall be at 1,000. That's 6 miles out. And 10,000, 4 miles out. You see? Keep coming down, keep coming down. Finally, 2 miles out, I should be at starting my descent to 1,000 at 6 miles out, I should be at 1,000 at 4 miles out from Quito Norte. So I should be at 1,000, 4 miles out. Okay, 9 miles out from Condorcocha, we're going to start turning for our DME arc. The descent's very steep. Not even coming down at 1,400 feet per minute was I able to reach my 1,500 feet altitude before the turn. But now it's time to turn because I want to stay within 10 miles from the station. Just like that. Look at this beautiful arc. "10 miles out." So I continue coming down to 1,500. So at 4 miles out from Quito Norte, 1,000. And 2 miles from Quito Norte, 10,200. Okay, so it's time to maintain 1,500. We're going to stay at 1,500. Not looking outside. And 10 miles out. Okay, stop descending. Give me more power. Stop descending. And we're going to cross radial 037. Keep going, start ascending. You should be at 1,500. Very good. I don't want to look outside during the approach, so I'm just gonna shut down my big screen. Okay, 037 is coming in, so almost 7.4. Quito Norte, set on main nav 2. We're intercepting the radial. We are 6 miles out, so 1,500. 2 miles out, our target altitude is, 4 miles out, our target altitude is 1,000. We can lower that. Now we can start descending again at 100 feet a minute. No need for more. Okay, we want to maintain 110 knots for the approach. Four miles out. My next step down is 2 miles out. I should be at 10,200. That's our localizer. I just double checked that it works. So 2 miles out, 10,200. Now I'm ready to intercept my Quito Norte VOR at 9,700. So So 9,700. Needles alive, intercepting, maintaining 9,700. Holding my needle centered. This needle is more sensitive than the previous one because this is not a VOR, this is a localizer. So it moves faster under any deviation. I gotta hold my 9,700 feet before I intercept the glass slope. The glass slope is this green square which is intercepted as it approaches the white line, as it does right now. So I'm just going to join the glass slope down to a minimum of 8,010 feet, which I'm going to set over here. Baro minimum of 8,100 feet. There we are. I don't want to be above the glide slope, so the white line is my plane and the green square is the glide slope. I want to be on the glide slope as I am right now. "600 feet above minimums." Gumps, gas, selectors on, pumps on, undercarriage, is down, 3 green, no red, once on the mirror. Ain't got no flaps. Approach flaps. Right, I have it in sight. Let's land. Give me full flaps for a short field landing.
Minimums.
There must be some sort of discrepancy in altitudes with the real world and the simulator. But when I had it in sight, it was exactly what I should see in the real world at the minimums. 7,920 feet according to the elevation, the published elevation. It's pretty accurate. Right, let's clean up those flaps, that mixture, those fuel pumps, those landing lights. Let's just taxi to the ramp. Next taxiway outbound is Alpha 2. I'm having a hard time maintaining the center line. Let's see. Correcting for the wind helps a lot. After Alpha 2 we have Alpha 1. Opportunity to evacuate via Alpha 1, not via Alpha. Yeah, I think we missed Alpha 1 as well. It's a bit dark, I can't see very comfortably. So yeah, let's just evacuate the runway in Alpha and taxi back to the ramp. And again, we're about to cross the most important marking in an airport. We have been cleared to taxi via Alpha. Alpha 2 to Juliet and Bravo. We're taxiing at 25 knots, but with the proper wind correction, that's possible without losing the center line. Our next flight in G1000 will be using the GPS and shooting an RNAV approach. But the next flight in this series of videos will be on board of a Piper Navajo, a 1971 airplane with the traditional 6-pack instruments on the panel. Alpha is cleared to the left. The next one is our left turn, Alpha 2 to Juliet over here. Alpha 2 is cleared to the right, Alpha 2 is cleared to the left, Juliet is cleared to the left. On our next flight, we will evaluate the scenery, the scenario of a partial panel, a vacuum failure. And this is Bravo 5. This blue line over here. Right in front of the tower. Alright, let's secure the plane. So avionics off. Let me see, avionics off are around there. And let's cut off the mixture. And every single switch off. Very well. I really hope you have enjoyed this first flight of the series at the PreVuelo channel. So as I was saying, we will be back for the next flight on board of the Piper Navajo on a route in upstate New York, in which we will experience a partial panel, a vacuum failure, according to a scenario from pilot workshops. So stay tuned to the PreVuelo channel. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications. If you made it till here, I'm sure you liked what you saw. See you next time.